Today I'm replanting our broccoli seedlings. So they grew really fast and I just transplanted them within a couple days into like half a cup full of soil since they were so small at the time. But now I need to fill the dirt all the way to the top because they're getting so much bigger. And here what I did is I watered the soil that was already in there, and then I grabbed this potting mix, which is really nice and dry and super lightweight. So I'm taking these seedlings and I'm just filling the rest of the cup full of potting mix, and then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that these seedlings are sitting really upright, and then I'm going to water them. And this will be their last container before I plant them outdoors. So when I pulled them out, I basically tried to do one in each cup, but some of them, I pulled out a couple, and then maybe some, if they were all together, I just planted like 3. So right now, since they're bigger, then I'm going to try to take the cups with 3 in them and then just put that in a new cup. Just because 3 plants in 1 cup is just not going to work. They're going to get too overgrown and they're going to get a little bit root bound, so I don't want to have that happen. But the biggest thing for these plants today, first of all, I just want to get them outside. So I have been bringing them outside here and there when the sun is out, or maybe it might be like an overcast day, but I just want to get them a little bit of sunlight because I feel like out in the sunlight they develop that next set of leaves, so that really helps. And so in this case here, I've filled quite a few of these cups to the top, and then I just want to show you what I'm doing here on the last few. So I'm just making sure that the plants are really upright, and I'm adding the soil and I'm pushing it down either with my fingers or with a spoon, like the back of a spoon, because I just want to make sure that I don't crush the roots or that I crush any of the leaves or anything. I want to make sure these are standing up as much as they can out of the soil. And then I'm going to go ahead and water them, but I'm being really careful about that too. So when you water the soil, then you're able to really form it around the plant and kind of push it down. So that's what I'm doing here, because I want to make sure that these broccoli plants don't get too much shock. And then also I just want to make sure that they're really standing up strong out of this soil. So it's more important for other plants like lettuce to not be kind of dragging into the soil, but it's important for every seedling. So here I'm just transplanting some and watering them and just making sure that everything on these plants looks pretty good. And then I'm going to bring them out to the greenhouse, but then I'm also going to bring them in at night because I don't want to shock them by having them out in the cold too fast and for too long. So if I leave them out for an hour here, a couple hours there, they can usually handle that pretty well. But today there is a lot of wind, and I think it is kind of bothering them because you can see the leaves kind of curling up on them. So I'm going to be careful to make sure that I bring them back into my inside seed starting area. So these broccoli seedlings grew up really fast and really tall. And they also gained like their second set of leaves really quickly. So these are just kind of going gangbusters on me. So I just want to make sure that at this point they have enough soil where they can really develop good roots. And then I'm making sure that I water them really well. And I am doing this whole process of hardening them off to make sure I can get them out to the greenhouse. Because broccoli is a little bit of a cooler weather plant. So I do want to get them going and transplant them. I'm going to transplant them in a few different places. So I have some barrels that I grow vegetables in, and then the actual vegetable garden. And then also I'm going to put some in the front of my house near my door. I have this like almost like magical little plot of land that just seems like it is a little blessed spot where things just grow. And I'm going to put definitely 2 or 3 of them there. And then I'll just see which areas grow best with the broccoli, and I'm hoping that some of them will grow further into the summer. And I'll just keep an eye on that and just see which areas are best. But I do like to try different spots and then just kind of observe what happens at that point, so that I know kind of going forward year from year the best places to plant different things. So I'm anticipating these broccoli are going to be ready to plant within the next week or two, because they're just really popping up quite a bit. And for me, the frost date in my area is still about 3 weeks away, maybe even 3.5 weeks away. So I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to plant them, because I don't want to have any frost issues. So I'll just have to check the weather and just see if there's anything in the forecast when I go to plant these out. So I planted only a handful of seeds, but somehow I've ended up with about 20 plants. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but sometimes I think I'm putting more seed in than I realize. But I didn't anticipate having this many plants, but I am excited about it because we eat a lot of broccoli, so if I can have a great harvest going, that would obviously be wonderful. It's just, I'm going to plant them a little bit more dense than what I was originally anticipating, and then we'll just, see how they do. So in a barrel, how like the big planting barrels, I have one in the front of my house, which is in full sun. I'm going to plant probably 4 in there, maybe even 5, because those barrels are deep and they're quite big. So I'm just going to try that and just see if that works, but hopefully that'll be a good spot to get a nice harvest, because broccoli grow really tall. They're going to be about, I would say, about 4 feet tall. So we'll just see how that works, and hopefully we'll get a nice harvest in even just like 1 barrel. But then in the other areas, I'll just kind of space them out a little bit, and we'll just see how they all do. So here I'm just taking some of these cups that had like 3 broccoli, and I think what happened is I transplanted them as soon as they popped up, because they grew so fast, and they were gaining their second set of leaves so fast that I wanted to make sure I quickly transplanted them so that I could get them in like a deeper container and make sure that I could water them really well and be able to bring them outside a little bit. But then I think other seeds in there just popped up. So then I ended up with multiple plants in a cup where maybe I just transplanted 1 plant. So I got quite a harvest of broccoli this year, which, like I said, I was not planning to plant more than like 4 or 5. But if I got 20, I'm going to plant 20. So we'll see how that goes. But just each individual plant, broccoli grew kind of tall. I don't feel like they're leggy, because that means they won't be getting enough light, and I definitely had them right under the light. So I'm not sure that they're leggy, but they are tall. So I'm just making sure that I've got a lot of soil in here, and that when I'm done with this process, that they're still standing really upright. Want to make sure that they're not like bent over at all, because for me that's kind of the tell if a plant is going to be successful, is if it's just standing super upright. And there's so much I can do at this stage to make sure that they're doing that, even kind of artificially. I can prop them up and just make sure that they're in a situation where they can be successful and grow. So when you put plants out in wind, they produce, I guess, hormones or something, where they will strengthen their stems. So today, like I said, is a windy day. So a little bit of that I think is okay, because I think it will strengthen these seedlings and the other seedlings I'm working on as well. But I definitely don't want to overdo that, because I think they could quickly get overwhelmed. So I have them outdoors, but I'm just going to leave them out here for an hour or 2, and then I'll put them in the greenhouse. If you've seen my greenhouse where I'm like redoing it, I have like only a 7-foot diameter greenhouse, but the difference between putting the plants at the front of it and the back of it is pretty surprising. If I put them in the very back of the greenhouse, they get very sheltered from the wind, and they just do a lot better. So if it's a windy day, I can kind of tuck them in a corner, and they will get plenty of light and not as much wind, and they'll do really well. So I'm excited. I feel like all of these seedlings are doing well, and I feel like I'm able to get them planted nice and straight. I'm going to go ahead and label all of these. And then I'm putting them back in the greenhouse here. And then tonight I'm going to get them into the inside seed starting area again, because I think, it's just too much for them to be out here for this many hours in a row. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And thank you for letting me update you on the status of these seedlings.